Welcome to our tenacious agents and investors from across the country. Today is Thursday, October 21st, 2021, and this is Mastermind podcast number 350. Can't believe we've done about a third of 1,000 here. We're well on our way to 1,000, and we're glad y'all are here today. We appreciate y'all, showing up on a regular basis. We do have one in the queue, and there is room for more. Coaches and partners, anything you would like to go over before we get to the person in the queue? Bruce?
For me, no, I am good. I'm good.
All right. Well, you should be good. It's Bruce's birthday today, and you're so much younger than us. We congratulate, and we're jealous of you. So hope you have a great one. Hope you take the rest of the day off after this call. All right. Well, we do have one in the queue, guys. We're always looking for wins. We're looking for the win of the week. We're looking for the idea of the week. I'll just share what I thought was a really cool win this morning, company-wise. We, Melissa here, our sales department, answered the phone. Someone said they had been listening to these podcasts for 3 or 4 years, and they were finally ready to sign up and get started and get our leads. So they probably they came ready to play after being on the call. And let you all know, if you're not a subscriber, if you're just on here to listen in and check us out, you're still very welcome to participate, and you don't need to wait 3 or 4 years. Give us a call right away, and we'll get you started right away. There's not a better, more unique niche out there in this crazy seller's market. It is a way that you can not only get good listings, but we've mentioned the last couple calls, it can be a really good source for you to attract buyers because you've got off-market inventory. So having said all of that, we do have one in the queue. If you would like to actively participate, please hit *6 and hit 1. And let's go to our queue. First up this week is phone number ending in 9531. You're up first.
Hi, happy birthday, Bruce. Don't feel so bad. My real estate license is in Roman numerals, so I'm sure I'm much younger than all of us.
Very good.
I like that.
Hey, I had exactly. It's actually a papyrus scroll, I believe. Yeah, I had a quick question. I recently got the trifold brochures from you guys. Intention to use them with attorneys mainly. But in thinking of other uses, I'm wondering if you recommend sending them to PRs in the mailing sort of sequence, where I'll do a mailing call.
No, Bruce.
So, birthday boy, any comments?
You're asking if you should mix the trifold brochure in with the mailing sequence. So mailing call, and that somewhere like a second mailing in between calls is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Do you need to clarify that? Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I usually do. Like the first one is the letter with a pen and a big package, and then follow-ups, about monthly. And so I'm wondering, maybe in one of those follow-ups, have you guys seen success in maybe the second, third, or fourth, or does it matter?
I want to do it toward the beginning of your campaign. So for me, it would be probably second or third mailing.
Okay.
It would be your brochure. It could be first. I believe that it needs to be sometime in that first couple of months. The mailing is one of those things that I often play around with in my market and double down on mailing frequently. The competitors that you're going to have are going to mail during the first 2 months, and typically after that they say mailing sucks, it doesn't work, and they drop out of their mail campaign, they drop out of their program altogether. And then they don't get any business. And so first off is with mailing, it really needs to stretch out for 5, 6, 7 months. into the sweet spot of where these leads actually convert. And knowing that my competition is probably going to send 1, 2, maybe a third letter, I'm going to go pretty high value. So like that bulk email that you mentioned with the pen, a brochure, a magazine, something like that. I'm kind of making sure that those first couple of months are high value. So that brochure is definitely one of those high value pieces that goes out that's more memorable than just a letter. And I'm probably going to double up on my mailing during those first couple of months as well. There's going to come a point in pretty much every campaign that you have where I want you to go more aggressive. So you could look at your market and you could say, hey, you know what? I think I have 100 people that might be competing with me in those first couple of months. That means I'm either going to double up now or I'm going to double up and go really aggressive after they start to drop out. But I do want you going kind of more aggressive than just a single monthly mailing. I'd like you doing every couple of second or third week, at least during a stretch of your campaign. It doesn't have to be the whole campaign, but it does need to be a stretch. And yes, it should include a brochure. I would do the brochure in the first 2 months, though.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, that's helpful. Luckily, I'm in a pretty smaller market in Montana, so there's like no competition.
Yeah.
That's nice. And then for other uses of the brochure, I'm interested in. Any other places you would use it or leave it or give it to people?
There's a handful of places that I would use the brochure, and not just the brochure. I think that you should have a couple of high value pieces that you can send out after dialogue with leads. You could use those as lead magnets if people land on your website. So if your brochure shows people the process, they could register. You could send it. Not a ton of people are going to go on a website and register for it. Most of them are still just kind of secretly checking you out when they hit a website. But after that dialogue that you have on the phone, that's where I'm going to send a brochure out. Hey, it was great speaking with you. Attach a little note to it, a sticky note or something. The brochure is really nice speaking with you. I thought you might find this beneficial. And then I might send another mail piece that is, hey, I found that here are 5 things that most people mess up during the probate process. I wrote a little blog on it. I wanted to send you a copy. Things like that. So you could always use it after you've had dialogue as well as kind of a value add piece.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I do magnets and some like checklists and local university has some guides to probate stuff, and I'll include those as value. One other thing I'm curious about, and I do my own research in the clerk and recorder's office, and I will occasionally overhear people who are coming in to do probate for the first time, usually pro se. And do you think it would be weird if I just quietly handed them a brochure in the office and said, call me if you need anything?
I think you'd be better off starting a conversation with them rather than go up and creepily handing them a brochure to say, I couldn't help it over here. And, for what it's worth, it's a business specialty of mine. I focus on doing that. And I have a team of people that help folks just like you who are kind of doing this and get through the struggle a little bit. Do you mind if I, offer you I'll show you what we do here. I'll hand you my brochure. If you need anything, help me. But I wouldn't do it casually. I'd come up and strike up a conversation with them.
Yep.
Okay.
You don't have to be afraid of what you do, man. You as long as your heart's in the right place and what you're doing is in the right place, there's no problem in doing that. Now, I will say this. You may run into problems with the people in the courthouse, marketing in the courthouse, so you got to kind of be a little careful about that. But certainly nothing wrong with doing that. And oftentimes it's that conversation that's all you'll need to do. It's just letting them know what you do for a living. And it's a great opportunity to do it, especially if you can kind of approach it with empathy. You'll know if you're hearing what they're doing, you can kind of hear if they're upset, if they're confused, you've got a great opportunity to do it. If they're like, this is really complicated, I can't help but have overheard you talking about how complicated it is. Indeed, it is complicated. And, I'm here because I'm doing some research today, but I'm doing it to, actually find folks like you. And I'm not here, poaching in the courthouse, but let me just offer you this. And, if you'd like us to talk about how to do that,
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah.
And Mike, I was going to add one other thing. You've been on our calls for a while. You've probably heard us talk about. We've had a number of agents that have been real successful in using those brochures to build a relationship with an attorney. I mean, see who who the main player is in your market, and drop a few by his office and just say, hey, I send out 50, 75, 100 of these a month, and I'm just getting ready to do my November mailing. I just thought maybe I could recommend you as the attorney of record, and I also get people per month, like you said, that are pro se. Would you mind if I recommend some of those people to you? And maybe you consider referring people to reach out to you directly to me. Make it a quid pro quo, make it a win-win relationship. And we used to say when you approach them, I'm going to put you on the brochures in the future, but I probably would just do it for, promise them when you do the next batch of brochures, you're going to do it. And let's see, make him give you some business, or put that expectation out there. You're going to expect some referrals too if you're going to keep doing that in the future. But that can be a win-win, and we've had a number of people that have done real well with the brochure using it that way.
Yeah, and I got it, primarily for that reason, and I've been pretty successful with just basic introduction to attorneys. Let them know I've got this team of folks, and sometimes people need it for estate planning or need a different probate lawyer. I'd like to talk to you, and we meet, and I don't even have to ask them. They just start sending me stuff, so it's great.
Good for you. That's great. Mm-hmm. Great. Tim, were you going to add something, or Bruce?
Well, I'm going to add on the courthouse. Go ahead, Tim. I'll jump in after you. Go ahead. Okay. I'm going to add on the courthouse. While you're in the courthouse, I would have a list of standard questions that you could use to just kind of strike up a conversation with people. And one of those examples of a question that you might ask would be, hey, you guys doing this pro se? Just an example.
Okay.
I'm going to probably come up with a handful of others that I know that I'm going to ask and I'm only going to ask questions that I know are going to get the answer, huh? So I want them to say, what does that mean? Which in turn just opens up the dialogue. In a courthouse, I'm going to go slightly different. Sorry, got a dog in the background. I'm going to go slightly different approach from Tim's. Instead of doing a brochure, I'm probably going to reference that I have a couple of friends of mine who help people with the probate process, like an estate sale company and an accountant and a landscaper. If you need anyone, do you think you could give me a call? Let me write my number down for you. And I'm probably going to go a little bit less professional there because I don't want it to seem very staged.
Right.
That's just me. I do everything that I can to avoid the appearance of something being set up or staged.
Yeah,
so,
I hear you. Yeah.
But I would definitely have some questions that that you can ask that you're 99% confident that your average person that's going in there to open probate, you know that they're probably not going to have any idea what the answer is, which hopefully leads them to ask you some questions and opens up a longer conversation.
Got it. Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's actually a better even approach than what I suggested. I was trying to help you with how to hand out your brochure, but what Bruce said is a much softer approach to doing that there. And I might have a business card in my pocket, but my business card might be a little more generic than, Billy Bob, the probate guy. I would, just have it there and, make it easy for them to get back in touch with you or nothing else. The only other thing I was going to say is that you, Bruce, may have talked about this earlier. I was actually away from my desk for just a second, came back, but you're talking about other places to do this. Did you guys talk about assisted living centers, senior centers, elder care facilities, Meals on Wheels, all those kinds of places that are there where people are signing up for programs, people are putting people in? You said yourself that you're in a relatively small community. You're the only really guy in town that's hustling this stuff and who's really trying to make a business out of probate in your county. And if I were you, if you feel that that's the case and you really don't have competition, then I would brand myself everywhere I could get a chance to do that, so that if anybody in your county thinks about probate, they think about you. And even to the point of, as you grow this, if you literally don't think you've got competition, one of the least expensive things that you can do, and a lot of times people think it's more expensive, but I'd even go to the point of thinking about doing some billboard stuff, putting up anywhere you can get stuff done where you get exposure to, they associate your name with probate and making it easy on them. Anywhere you can brand that out. If you literally don't think you've got competition, get after it, man. Pour water in the top, or pour money in the top, you get more out the bottom.
Great. Hey guys, thanks. This is Coach Chuck. And hey, I wanted to add to it from that standpoint to continue Tim's line of thinking. There's a number of home health care services, nurses that are going to people's houses that are looking to, age in place, and that industry is also going to be an opportunity. And many times, people are like, are looking for a reason to connect with their sphere of influence, their database, their group of friends, and referral partners. And I think that leveraging that brochure as a way to, you can take them to your team members, which you're actually talking about in the brochure, to say, hey, if you would be able to help me distribute these, we can all rise together. And so there's a number of different ways to be able to distribute that brochure, because it's a really good piece that summarizes a lot of the value propositions that you have to not only personal representatives, but to referral partners, your sphere of influence, because everybody is going to have a need for taking care of end-of-life activities, the probate process, at some point in time. So everybody knows somebody that is going to deal with this, and leveraging your network and your sphere is a perfect place for using the brochure.
Great. And I was thinking, when I do deliver them to either attorneys or these other professionals, doing it in the small, like plexiglass rack, the stand up, and just kind of saying, once you take these in case anybody needs them. Do you guys recommend that?
So that would be in.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Go ahead, Jen. Nope. Please.
All I was going to say is, I think you want to see what I think you want to feel your way through that. Places that aren't doing that. In other words, some places, you'll see they've got a fishbowl and people can throw business cards in it, but you may see other places where they do have a few brochures and things like that. I will tell you that putting stuff like that in a rack in an assisted living facility or in a nursing home probably would be perceived in pretty poor taste. It would be more something that you'd ask them to hand out. Yeah. So I think you got to look at where your potential audience is before I'd say, make a rule there. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm thinking more that they would have it in their personal offices, kind of like on a shelf somewhere, but it would still kind of be more visible, Yeah,
certainly okay to do that. I'm just saying that, look at where you're looking to do it. Actually putting it in something like that is going to get it less likely than have it less likely thrown in a drawer and they'll forget about it. So that is a good idea. I'm just saying I wouldn't look at it to be a public display, make it easier for them.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm gonna throw in something. This is not a probate example, but I'll kind of give you an example of what a home inspector did that was trying to break into the market where I live. And he would go around. Of course, he had brochures, but he didn't even offer the home inspection brochures when he'd go into agent offices. He'd come with a big bowl of candy that is guaranteed to always stay. Massive staying power on that. And it had his brand and his little slogan on it. And he would just come by and refill or bring a new bowl by. And, of course, it's kind of gimmicky. I don't want to call it tacky. It's gimmicky. But he was always coming with something that he knew was never going to get thrown away. And eventually, after a few months of stopping by and refilling that, it led to more conversations. And then, hey, this is just so you know, I don't know if you knew this, but I do this kind of inspection and I do that kind of inspection. Do you think maybe I could leave a brochure? And he eased his way in through leaving something that he knew that regardless of whether you knew him or not, you weren't going to throw away. And today, in a market of a couple of million people, he is the go-to inspector that everybody goes to. All because he started with something small and unsalesy like that, with a plan to eventually get the brochures and get the lunch and learns and get those things in place. But it started small.
And Bruce, I was going to say, I don't think it's tacky. It sounds like a sweet idea. If it was candy.
Yeah. I mean, whatever it is, it needs to start with staying power. And a brochure doesn't always have staying power. It might, but it needs to start with staying power.
Got it. Excellent.
Yep.
Hey, Mike, unrelated question. You started the call. I love your humor that your real estate license was in Roman numerals. What year did you get your license?
That was really just for a joke. It was 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
2019.
Okay. Never mind. I was going to tell you my stories of the old days when I got my license. No such thing as multiple listing books. They used to. They gave us a binder when we passed our test, and every week the board would mail brochures on the new properties and send us a list of the ones that were sold. So we had to remove. It was revolutionary when multiple listing books came out. So I was going to compare war stories with you, but it was a good joke anyway. 2015, man, you're a newbie. That's great.
Yeah,
Anything else we can help you with, Mike? We got a couple more in the queue, but we have time. I appreciate your input.
No, please go ahead, get the other questions. Thanks a lot. I'll have to listen when it comes out because you guys had so much good advice. Thanks again.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for being here. Thanks for participating. We appreciate it. All right. Next up is phone number ending in 0639. You're up next.
Yes. Hello. I just wanted to reach out to you guys. Thanks for taking my call. I've been emailing Jordan back with your services to just kind of get more information about your services, about, as a beginning investor, I'm just starting out, how this would be translated into something that could help me with growing my business. A lot of lead generation services, make these pitches to you. And I've been looking at your online stuff and, how you guys focus on probate. But I wanted to know, with this service that you're offering, what is the extent, what sets this apart, I guess, from the other lead generation services who are making their pitches about this being a lead service?
Well, I appreciate that. First of all, I know your first name's not Alan. I'll make sure right after this call's over, I'll make sure Jordan calls you right back. What's your first name?
It's, I'll spell it for you. It's L-A-V as in Victor, E-E-S-H-A. It's LaVisha.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all my partners and coaches and I can take an individual crack at this, but we only have one other person in the queue, so it's a very valid question. As a realtor or an investor, but, back in the dark ages I was talking about when I was both, when I used to pick up the phone and prospect, I'd call FSBOs, expireds, I'd call through neighborhoods, I'd call my sphere, and most of the time I was the only one or one of a few agents that was prospecting. today the market has changed so radically. Everybody's got coaches. Everybody understands the value of, a listing or the value of a well-priced property if you're an investor. People that I used to work with tell me now when they pick up the phone and make 100 calls, they're lucky if 3 people answer. So one thing that really sets this lead source apart is the much less competition. Most of the time you're reaching out to an absentee owner that inherited the property that has to sell it. Now, I'm not going to say you don't have competition. The last gentleman in rural areas doesn't have any. In some of the major cities, you still have competition. There may be, a dozen other agents working the leads, or maybe 3 or 4 or 5 other people calling. But I promise you it's much less than almost any other lead source, certainly less than, expireds or FSBOs for a realtor. It's a very unique lead source. One thing that sets it apart is that the vast majority of the people, if you're calling it for sale by owner, they might want to sell, but they don't have to sell. The thing about probate, a large percentage of the time, it's multiple heirs. So they really have to sell to be able to split up the proceeds. So you're reaching out to someone who just inherited a property that they probably weren't planning on selling. They've got several siblings that they need to split the proceeds with, so they need to sell. And they're usually not local, so there aren't very many people contacting them. So right there, I think the uniqueness of the source and the lack of competition compared to other sources would be the 2 things that really set it apart. Bruce and Tim, you want to take? I'm sure I missed a lot of things. You want to take a crack at that question?
I'll take one in the middle, and I'll let Bruce. Pardon?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Nope,
all right.
Tim,
well,
go, because I want to.
He asked about what makes us different potentially than other folks who are, trying to get your dollars in regard to probate. I think the thing that I'd say to you is that we've been doing this a really long time, and during that period of time, we've done a dramatic amount to enhance what we actually offer. We don't see ourselves as a lead company. Actually, had we to start this over again, we likely would have not named the company All the Leads, because literally we do far more than just sell leads. We look at what we offer as a system. So literally, we not only provide the leads for you, you got to have a place to start, but we wrap around that with multiple types of letters that you can send. We actually are a full-blown commercial printer, and we can do any kind of thing that you want, and not the least of which is we do a merged print with personalized letters for you, so that part of it is done for you. So we literally take your lists, we put them together, help you create a good letter to go out the door, and then we will do it month after month to your list as we go through it, and you can follow our structure to do that. You've heard Bruce talk about doing a letter postcard, or high-value mail and all that, and we do all that for you, put it together, and all you have to do is say go, and it gets done, and all you end up with is you end up talking with motivated sellers that are trying to get rid of their property and people that you can help. The other thing about this is we also offer the ability to make the phone calls for you through a group that we work with now that actually will take it on and go do that. And we're actually investigating a new approach to even doing that Bruce and I have been talking about over the last couple of weeks, that literally will end up with you strictly talking to people who are ready to make a listing or a purchase appointment. And so we're constantly improving our game. The other thing that we do in regard to just the leads themselves, we put our leads, once we get them, once we start with a base document on the leads, we put them through a multi-step process to augment them to make absolutely sure that we're giving you the best possible data that we can. And if we ever screw it up, if something's ever wrong with it, you don't have to chase us for making it right. We are well known for making sure our customers are always satisfied. And if we make a mistake, we're right on top of getting it done. We don't want your money to help you do anything other than be successful. So we've built a solid system around what we're offering, and it's far more than just a lead company. The other thing about this is, as you heard on the beginning of this call, this is our 350th mastermind call. On these mastermind calls, people have literally made millions of dollars off of the suggestions and answers that we've given there. And in addition to that, we offer all kinds of training. We have a big support team that is always ready to help you if you have a problem with anything, if you need help figuring something out. We're all over doing that. So you couldn't pick a better company to spend your money with. We're here to make you successful, not just sell you leads and, pat you on the back and say, go get them, Tiger. We're there to help you at every step in the way. And with that, Bruce, it's up to you. You got anything else?
Yeah, I do. Is it okay if I speak to probate in general? And I'm going to take a little bit of an opposite approach of the motivated seller leads that Jim just described, which it's true. Everything that Jim described about probate leads is absolutely true. Yes, they are motivated. Yes, they have inherited property and they are absentee. They do need to sell. There's a lot of help that they need that makes these a good lead source because they need more than just a sign in the ground. But I'm actually going to take a little bit of a different approach and tell you why I personally like the probate space. And the reason that I like the probate space is going to sound really scary for some people. I like the probate space because people are hesitant to talk to an agent the first time that they call because they're going through a private experience that's painful. I like it because the average lead takes 6 months before they are ready to sell a house. Those things I would tell most investors and most agents that, and they'd say, I'm not in for that type of lead. I'm in for that type of lead because it naturally suppresses my competition. And in the average market where maybe you do have some competition, there's no way that very many of those agents or investors that you're competing with are going to stick long enough to get the conversion that I know comes out of a probate list. These probate lists, I don't know, last time I heard, I'm going to make a statistic up here. This is not a real stat, but approximately 60% of everyone who goes through probate is going to have real estate that they will sell. So you get 100 people in a county going through probate, 60 of those are going to sell real estate in the next year. The majority of them are going to be around the 6-7 month mark. My competitors drop in a month, 2 months, which means that I have a nice 4 to 5 month runway without competition to be able to build a relationship and establish value with the average lead. And most of my competitors, they don't want to work a lead for 6 months. They don't want to. When someone tells me that they have everything handled, I'm not there to argue with them and convince them that they need to let me in the house on day one and to go list the house or buy the house from them right away. I'm there to establish credibility, trust, rapport, and a relationship with them for their future business when they're ready. Does that mean that everybody takes 6 to 12 months? No. Some people are ready a lot faster than that, but the ones that are ready faster than that typically come with some competition. The ones that take the 6 months to get ready to sell a house, I'm normally all alone in that conversation when they're ready. And so that's the reason that I think that you should look at probate, whether it's with us or anyone else. You should look at probate for that reason, as long as you're willing to put in the work for approximately a half a year to build a relationship with someone. And with that, I lost everyone that says I'm not.
No, I was just waiting for a response. Did you? That's great advice. Did you, Lavisha? You ask a short question, you got a very long answer, and I did message Jordan to reach out to you right at 2:00. So when this call ends, maybe try to not pick up your phone. I think maybe you've been playing phone tag with him, and he can. The only question I think we didn't answer was the cost. It's different for every county. Every county has a different lead slightly different lead collection process. They have a different lead count, and so it varies from county to county. But Jordan will go over any counties you're interested in. Does that help? Well, I guess she. It looks like she's still there, but apparently she's muted out. We do have a full queue, but thank you for your question, Lavisha. And next up is phone number ending in 1451. You're up next.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. And just to affirm what Tim said, I think that there's a tremendous value add in having a system in place to make the leads actionable. Inevitably, the question is, what lead provider do you go with? And it's kind of like a McDonald's cheeseburger. Perhaps there's some differentiation with your source of data, but inevitably, now that you got the information, it's sitting on your desktop. What do you do with it? And that's, I think, tremendous value add that all the leads can bring to the table. With regard to reaching out to attorneys, just a little bit of my soliloquy. They're obviously cagey creatures, and they're surrounded by gatekeepers. They're hard to get on the phone. I think one key is to ask them, to lead in, if you will, is to ask them for a low-maintenance decision, which doesn't require much effort on their part. For example, I found success in just reaching out to attorneys, proposing that, we just simply take a photo of the probated property, and the messaging would be, with your permission, can I ascertain the condition of the property? Take a quick photo. Surely you don't want your clients to be bogged down in any code violations. And that's especially valuable if the PR is located far away and they don't want to travel on their own dime to visit the property. So there's ways to get in the door because they are extremely cagey creatures. I've tried LinkedIn, various means to get through to them. But I would submit that the personal approach is the best because and a lot of these bar associations have monthly or, whatever periodic meetings. And I would submit that just getting in front of them face to face, there's a gentleman out in Southern California that's a big proponent of this, and he actually suggests going up to the luncheon area at the courthouse just to mingle personally with the attorneys. There's a retired judge in my county who's a notorious drinker. Ironically, he sentences people to DWI sentences, but he's always at this bar, and sure enough, he so I actually got in front of him at the bar, and he was extremely helpful. He reached an age of mandatory retirement, but you could always count on him in being in that bar. And he introduced me to a lot of attorneys. So I guess this is I'm overrunning my time here, but my quintessential message is that you should really perhaps smash through the clutter and be one-on-one with these attorneys. And the messaging that they tend to like is that, as a realtor, as an investor, I don't need the training wheels. Okay. I'm intimately familiar with the probate process. And one of the objections that realtors and investors will say before subscribing to a list of probates is that, it's a good old boy network or good old gal network, right? They already have their preferred network of realtors that they already work with. And I find that to be not a good argument, because that's like saying a realtor won't, contact a potential buyer or seller because, of course, there's a profusion of realtors. There's a realtor down the corner. So there is competition, yes. And welcome to life. Welcome to business. You have to compete, and you have to differentiate yourself from the next person. And
yep. Well, I have to say,
so I'll pause.
No, don't apologize. I was going to say very eloquently put, and talk about differentiating yourself. I know Zeke and Andrew are on this call. I would call that Barstool prospecting attorneys. I don't think in all the years we've been doing this, anybody's ever suggested that before. I'd be a little bit facetious, but a very, very well thought out, very unique perspective and approach, for handling these.
Well, he was a judge, but he was very influential because he knew every other attorney.
Exactly. Prospecting judges to get to the attorney. Exactly. No, well, very well thought out. Thank you. I think all my partners have a comment also. Go ahead, guys.
So if you don't mind, let me jump in. I think you said something. Number one, yes, it's true. The personal relationship, the breaking through the clutter and getting face-to-face to the relationship and meeting them where they are is huge. I didn't used to know how to meet attorneys, and I do now. You just kind of learn where they go, where they hang out, what social clubs they're a part of, who they know, who they traffic with, and you get in with those on the ground level. But you said something a moment ago that I want to kind of take advantage of, and that's, a lot of attorneys, a lot of judges, a lot of people in the probate space, yes, they do know a couple of realtors. They do already have a good old boy network, potentially. But when you are communicating with the contact, the connection themselves, what you want to do is use a specific NLP technique that I like to use, and that is, and I can't remember exactly what this is called or what the formula is, but it goes something like this. Jim. So, Jim, I sell real estate, but not only do I sell real estate, I don't only sell real estate, although I do that at a very high level, but I actually provide a very comprehensive service for attorneys and people that are going through probate that really eliminates the typical stress that they feel and 90% of the job that they're going to have ahead of them. Okay, so the key with that is not only do I sell real estate, or if you're an investor, not only do I buy real estate, or I don't just buy real estate, or I don't just sell real estate, although I do sell real estate. But I also, and that's when you spin into the additional services that you're going to offer. So you want to find a way to be able to spin into the additional services that you offer without discounting the fact that you sell or buy real estate at a high level. So I don't know what that
shift.
Yeah, I don't know what that's called either. It sounds like the but wait, there's more approach, like they do on the infomercials. But wait, there's more. No, that's great.
You're getting the plug out there while kind of you're getting the real estate plug out there while kind of minimizing it to a degree.
Sure.
It kind of shifts that focus over to the add-ons that nobody else really offers. And it's not that nobody else offers any add-ons, it's that they don't know how to describe those add-ons. And so that approach that I just gave is a way to offer the add-ons and shine a spotlight on those. Well, I
think you encapsulated it perfectly because, it's really a paradigm shift. You're not a real estate investor. You're not a realtor. What you are is a problem solver. You offer compassionate solutions to bring the estate closer to final settlement. Okay. And that's the overarching, objective clearly is to, help people wind down the earthly affairs of a loved one. And you could wear many hats in that. But, in terms of reaching out to attorneys, and having, people to convey that message to, the question is, how do you get through to them? I had an idea that I'm contemplating now, and I'll bounce it off you now, is since they don't respond to calls, since they don't respond to emails, and if somebody's not so enterprising as to, go in their circles and meet them person to person, if not at a bar stool, how about go to the post office, get a priority envelope, craft a letter, place it in a FedEx envelope or priority mail envelope, whatever the case, and deliver it in person and drop it off at the receptionist. I just had this harebrained idea. And, that'll get noticed, I would think, right?
It should.
Yeah, I will say this. Open. It's illegal to take a postal letter and go drop that on there. It's using it for personal use. I don't know about FedEx, but it isn't. But there are other things like that you can buy online that have the appearance of priority mail that will do that. Some of them are in similar colors to FedEx or DHL or UPS, the courier envelopes. You can't really use those unless you're using their service. So kind of got to be careful that you don't do that. But that's an interesting idea in and of itself. And you've obviously got some pretty cool creative ideas, lots of things to think about. Those are definitely cool. Hey, I hate to do this, but I know that we've got a couple more people in the queue. Is there anything else you want to add right now?
No, continue on. Thanks for your generous time.
Thanks for sharing, sir. Appreciate you. All right. Next up is phone number ending in 9362. You're up next.
Hi, guys. My name is Libby, and happy birthday. Was it Brian?
Bruce.
It's Bruce.
Bruce. Sorry, got my B's mixed up. You're right. I just had a quick question. I just started doing probate out in Colorado, and I was wondering about how you guys do your personalized letterhead. Is there someone I could speak to about that to see what that process is like?
Absolutely. Tim, you want to handle that?
Are you one of our subscriber folks?
Yes, sir.
All right. All you got to do is just call the number on our website, or just drop a message to support, and someone will be happy to talk to you about that, and we'll explain to you what you need to consider and how to create the letters based on what the structure is.
Okay, perfect. And you guys, you do this every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time?
1 p.m. Eastern time.
1 p.m. Eastern time. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's almost Friday. I apologize.
But like Tim said, if you need any help with anything, anytime, just go to support@alltheleads.com. We've got we've got several dozen employees that and staff people that are available, and somebody will get back to you real quick.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I just started calling the probate leads this week, so I just wanted to hop on, listen to everybody and soak up as much information. I've written about 5 pages of notes, so I'll probably be on every week for the next few months. Is there any, tips you can give me just for, getting my foot in the door and what to expect out of this? I know you guys said it's about a 6-month time frame before people are really ready, so just having that patience and following up.
Well, you're in Denver, correct? Colorado is a little bit of a different animal. Tim, do you know offhand, is the data delayed? I think Denver might be the one county in Colorado where the data is not delayed. Is it?
Yeah, it literally depends on, it's interesting structure. I mean, sometimes the data that we get there, the courts are inconsistent in terms of what they allow us to have access to. So we're always trying to provide you the most accurate data that we can, but it is a bit different there. And in many cases, you're going to find that the data that will give you that reflects the probate case, that case is being settled by the time we get it, because they don't post it sometimes until it's already gone through the process and it's closed. So at that point, someone is typically in full possession of that property right then and can, in fact, tender the property for sale. So it's not as long a process in some respects as some of the other areas that are there, where typically we get to them sooner than that and allow you to develop the relationship. So your letter needs to speak to what's there and maybe develop a sense of urgency in terms of doing that. But we always find that the best approach has always been to be making your call following up on the letter or the information that you sent them. And that's kind of how you express yourself. The only other thing that, and I'm sure, Bruce, you can add to this as well, but we ask you to make sure that you're representing yourself in a way that you're offering value to them, not just, leading with, hey, I want to buy your house, or hey, I want to list your house. You literally are offering value to them. You've built a team of people that help people who are dealing with probate and dealing with all the issues there. And just because probate's closed, typically those problems haven't gone away. They may have the house, but the house is still going to be filled with possessions of a loved one. It may still need a clean out. It may need a lot of things to be able to get ready to sell, or they may not have the ability to do any of that. And in particular, I'd also finally say, carefully look at your list and really focus a lot of energy and particularly do some mail to anybody that's an out-of-town owner. Because typically, if the probate, if the executor of the estate, if PR, is out of town, they're struggling to try to figure out what to do with property that's in that marketplace in a lot of cases.
Okay.
So that may be your best opportunity.
Okay. And then with the letters being sent out, I know you guys said you send them out, very rapidly, and it's, every 2 to 3 weeks. Do you have to send the letter out before you can contact them?
No, you don't have to do that. We just recommend that we automate the process. So when in our system, if you're on autopilot, which is what we recommend that you do, as soon as the leads are delivered to you, we immediately put them in production. So typically, if the leads are delivered to you, they're going to be out our door within 48 hours. They're going to be in the mail. One thing that we do know right now, thanks to all the shenanigans that are going on with the Postal Service right now, mail delivery has been slowed down a bit, and we're approaching the holiday season. So that's why we mail a copy of, every time we do a mailing, we mail you a copy as well. And that way you know exactly when those letters have been delivered. And at that point, that's probably the very moment you need to start dialing for dollars.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I really appreciate all of your help. This has been really, really useful.
Welcome aboard, and please keep coming back and share your successes as they occur. Thanks for being here. All right, guys. Well, what a great way to wrap the call. Our last caller of the week is Roger Lacey. We have the world famous Roger Lacey here. Roger, thank you for ending our call. What can we do for you today, sir? Or what would you like to share?
Can you hear me okay?
Can hear you great. Yep.
Okay. Last week I tried to call in and something was going on, but I'm glad to get that. Best way to get in front of the attorneys. Ask the PR after you presented a CMA or a broker's price opinion and you get the listing agreement, go immediately to the attorney's office, get through the gatekeeper by telling them the docket number, and you only want to take 5 minutes. I want to present you with this and hand them the brochure that's got all the services that you provide. And all of a sudden, on every time I've done that, I've done it with the permission. I tell the PR that I'm not going to have billable hours, charge you up in billable hours. I meet him out there. He usually comes out of his office because he doesn't want me in his office, but I'm handing him stuff that he is looking for. Typically what they will do is they will take the tax record assessment as the value of the property that they're doing. And when you sit there and say, look what's happening in the market, this is telling you what's happening in the market. This is what I think the property will sell for. I have a listing agreement here. I wanted to touch base with you. I will make sure that you're aware of everything that goes on, and that when we get an offer, I will make sure that you are informed of all of the offers that we get on the property. So we do that. All of a sudden, the next thing out of the attorney's mouth is, So how much do you charge for this service? And I look at him and I say, and it's on all of. I'm changing my my brochures to add these three comments on them. I'm a problem solvers. I'm a time saver, and I charge no extra fees. That's an eye catcher. That all of a sudden they go, what? And all of a sudden it's I'm solving problems. You have a problem with what you've got here. I'd love to have a dialogue with you. The second way to get in front of an attorney is bring him. If he's in estate planning, if he's handling probate, he's probably doing estate planning. Call him, one of these guys that you've talked to, and bring him someone that you have referred for an interview for a trust. And all of a sudden, you become his best friend because you're giving him a referral for time that he will have the opportunity to sell his services to someone else. I think that is all. I think it's worked every time that I've done it, and all of a sudden we become buds. I don't meet him in the bar. I buy a bottle of Crown Royal, and it sits on top of my refrigerator, and it usually lasts about six months to a year. It just, whenever I get tense, I can take a shot, but that's about all the drinking that I do. Not much beer, but the bar thing doesn't work for me. So I offer those 2-3 suggestions: problem solvers, time savers, no extra fees, gets their attention, and showing up with getting past the gatekeeper, giving her the gatekeeper the docket number of what you wanted to talk about. All of a sudden she goes, oh yeah, we got that docket, and the attorney will come out and meet you and have something to give them on the front end, and it's making an impression on you're for real.
Hey,
wow, words of wisdom, my friend. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Bruce.
I just wanted to say a few things. First off, you're one of the most genuine people I know, and you just are who you are. And one of the reasons that you are so successful is you really every time we talk to you, you have refined your process. You're making it, you're doing it a little bit differently. You're not changing all that much, but you are literally doing wonderful things to continue to hone your craft and do it well. And that's appreciated. I only want to add one other thing, which is I think it's a great suggestion that you just made. The one thing I would caution you about is that in every case, the docket number is not always the most reliable thing to work with. And in your market, it's fine because we do get that reliably. There are certain courts that change the docket number to something else. We populate the field with what they give us. Sometimes it's not the docket number. It's a sequential case ID number that comes out of the system. It's just almost a generic ID, and the docket number is different. So you may want to, depending on your market, you may want to go in and instead of just referring to the docket number, you're there to talk about the probate case involving Sally Smith or John Smith, and that way you're going to get through to it. If you give them a bogus docket number, which can happen based on what we get out of the courts, sometimes it may not be the best way to go do that, but the approach, that's a golden approach to doing that. That's great, man. And, we love every time you get on here, always learn something new. So thank you for that.
The only other thing I have to add for the new guys that have subscribed to the service is do not count conversions. Count ROI. ROI is much more important, and it comes from the conversions. But the ROI, which you're paying ATL for the leads, the amount of time that you spend, look at your commissions at the end of the day, and I think that you're going to be a lot happier with what you have. And if you come from if you come from a place that you got to try to figure out how many conversations that I have or how many conversions does this have, you're looking at it from an aspect that does not work well with probate. because the ROI is much more important than the number of conversions. You may have three or four $700,000 properties that you're doing. Not in my market very much, but you may have 10 $150,000 commission checks or sales coming in. But the ROI at the end of the year is what I use to stay with the service or not. And I look at it every year. So that's
wow.
the last thing.
Roger, that's a golden nugget there. A couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, I think we asked our subscribers to calculate and report back to us their ROI, and we were just blown away. Now these are the people that responded, so I'm assuming they obviously were successful, but the average ROI they reported back to us was about 1,500%, which is ridiculous. And so that's a really good point. You may end up doing fewer deals, but the amount of money you put back in your pocket percentage-wise compared to almost every other lead source is it's substantially more. So good nugget, man. We appreciate you sharing that. We appreciate you as always, my friend. Please, Roger, for those of you who don't know, is one of our oldest in length with us, not age-wise, but one of our oldest and most successful subscribers. So please keep coming back, man. We appreciate you. Thank you.
God bless.
And guys, we went a little bit over today, but that brings us to the end of another great call. Of course, I say this every week, but, great call. But there were some really, really good nuggets there. As Libby said, these are recorded. They're posted. They're on your favorite podcast service. Go back and listen again. Take some notes like she did. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I want to particularly thank everybody like Roger and Jim and Libby and Mike who actively participated. And I want to challenge each of you, take just one of those nuggets, one of those thoughts, ideas that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week, and we will talk to you same time next Thursday. Take care.